And then I was looking at the nerve, this little strand of spaghetti running through my arm, and I had to take the knife and pry it up, and even when I touched it, it felt like sticking my arm into a pot of liquid metal. It burned all the way up my arm, and I took it again and lifted it up. I knew it was going to hurt, and I plucked it up and did in a motion like that, and that fire sensation redoubled and went all the way up to my shoulder. But I knew that was the hard part.
This is Aaron Ralston. Ralston was having a pretty normal day hiking when a misstep sent him plummeting into the bottom of a canyon, trapping his arm behind an 800-pound boulder. Ralston spent 5 days without food or water, but ultimately, there was only one thing that he could do to get himself out of this situation. Ralston had to cut off his own arm. After an hour of excruciating work with nothing but a 2-inch blade and grit, Ralston freed himself from the boulder. If he didn't take matters into his own hands, he surely would have starved to death. But he didn't. He lived. Aaron Ralston is the definition of do the hard thing.
Teacher.
That story is a pretty good reminder that humans can do some remarkable things when the stakes are high. You might think when we have the time and energy and the proper rest and mental clarity, that's when we're able to perform at our best. But honestly, it feels like when the stakes are lower, we just don't want to do hard things. Ironically, it feels more difficult to do hard things when there doesn't appear to be any hard things to do. How can we achieve anything remarkable if the stakes are low? The thing is, the stakes are not low. The stakes aren't low at all. You may think you have a lot of time on this planet, but really, you don't. When you're not trapped by an 800-pound boulder, there's not really a reason to cut off your arm. But also sometimes there's not really a reason to clean your kitchen or do your homework or apply for that job or anything like that. And yeah, maybe you'll have more time than Aaron Ralston did, but you're still gonna die too. And the way that you spend your time is important. There's only so much time to be the person that you want to be. Those are your stakes. The way to identify the hard thing is to sit down and picture the person that you want to be. Write that person down and get specific. Who are they? Who are their friends? Where do they live? How much money do they make? What do they do on a day-to-day basis? If you know who you want to be, that's a pretty good first step. But if you don't know how to get there and you don't know what's stopping you from getting there, well, you're still kind of at square one. What is preventing you from being the person you want to be that's within your control? That is your hard thing. The hard thing isn't always going to be a boulder. Sometimes it looks more like patience, forgiveness, acceptance, vulnerability, listening, starting something new, consistency, discomfort, letting go, honesty, unconditional love, waking up in the morning, self-awareness, making the right choice at the right time, doing your chores, doing your homework, cleaning your room, doing the dishes, admitting when you're wrong. Congratulations. Now you have a list of tasks that you can accomplish in order to tangibly make progress towards becoming the person that you want to be. Hopefully the person you're picturing is worth it to you. It's something that means a lot to you. And if that's the case, it's gonna be hard. It's supposed to be. That's what makes it worth it. And you can go on and on about all the different reasons why you can't do those things, but at the end of the day, nobody is responsible for you except you. It's not impossible. Hard, sure, but not impossible. It's supposed to be hard. Nothing worth doing is easy. So, all right, we've identified the thing that's stopping you from being the person you want to be. What can you do about it now? The next step is confronting the hard thing. Now I want you to do an exercise with me. Imagine all of these problems are not yours, but a close friend. For some reason, it's so much easier to give advice than to take your own advice. A lot of times you already know what you have to do. It can be really frustrating if your friend or family member is struggling with something that is just so easy, if only they just did the thing that they had to do. But the thing is, we are all guilty of this, myself included. So treat yourself like a friend. You should probably be doing that anyway. What would you say to that person? Once you have this list of hard things, the only thing you can do is face them head on. You may be thinking, well, I can't do all of these things, I'm too scared. Well, congratulations, you are part of the entire population of people who practice bravery. You can't be brave if you're not scared first. Your weaknesses are the beginnings of your strengths, but that's only the case if you know how to do the hard thing.
There's no different angle, no clever solution, no trickety trick that's gonna move that rock. You've gotta face it head on.
The human mind is capable of crazy things. When you tell yourself, I'm too X to accomplish Y, it becomes true. But if you flip that and say, I am X, so I will accomplish Y, that becomes true too. The way that you think and the narratives you tell yourself become reality. And the good news is, starting is often the hardest part. But once you've started, once you get a rhythm going, once you prove to yourself that you can do these things that you didn't think that you can do, they become easier and easier and easier. And the only way that anyone has done anything remarkable is by practicing and being consistent with it. All of your heroes have gone through this. How let down would you feel if your heroes gave up? Now, don't let yourself down. Four years ago, I went through some of the hardest times in my entire life. I was a freshman in college, and I moved away from home to pursue my dreams of filmmaking. When I was in New Jersey, I had a support system of people who always had my back. And when I came out to California, I had to start over from square one. Not to mention, I was unmedicated for anxiety, depression, and bipolar disorder. I didn't have my parents, I didn't have my friends, and I never felt more alone in my entire life. I spent days, weeks, months just rotting in my dorm room, barely able to go to class, unable to do basic human things like do my laundry or make my bed. It felt like I had cinder block shoes, sinking to the bottom of the ocean. And no matter how hard I tried to swim up, I just kept sinking down, down, down. There were so many things that I could have done that were the right answer, but they felt too difficult to do. What I learned is that sometimes the hardest thing that you can do is admit that you need help. A mantra I like to tell myself is, the great Noah Sokolsky will not exist if he is not me. And that can apply for you too, just fill in the blank for your name. The great whoever will not exist if they are not you. You have to be the one to take responsibility for your problems, even if that means asking for help. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to be able to help you if you don't tell them what you need. And that sometimes is the hardest thing that you can do. I lived. I made it through. And because of that, I get to share my story with you. And that wouldn't be possible if I didn't do the hard thing. I got through one of the hardest parts of my entire life, but that doesn't mean that my journey of doing hard things is over. Now the hard thing is taking my life experience and turning it into something palatable so that people can extract some benefit from it, I guess. So here's my message. Realize that there's always a hard thing, and you only have two options when it comes to dealing with that. You can either let it control your entire life, or you can look it in the face and take responsibility. So at the end of this video, before you click on another one, ask yourself, what's my current hard thing? And what am I going to do about it?